here is.
We have some up there?
Yeah, I'm bringing some up, and then that one's for you.
Okay. And there's another one you want me to bring up?
I'll bring them up.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, there's a seat for you, Kevin. There you go.
Oh, he's doing the audience.
He is.
Right next to my buddy. Yeah.
All right. Hey there, Twin Oaks. How are you doing? Let's try again. All right. Howdy, Twin Oaks. How are you doing? Well, okay. You'll let me know as we. Okay. All right. So right now we're okay. Well, we could take a turn, is what you're saying. Okay. So thank y'all for coming out. We really appreciate it. This is new. Has anyone seen our spaceship kind of fancy stage lighting down here in the front? I think it's to make certain we don't fall off the stage. Yes. It's brand new to me. It's brand new to a lot of us. We have not seen it. We feel very, I don't know if this is threatening. I don't know. We feel very fancy. So, do we need to introduce this esteemed panel? Does everyone know these folks here? No. Hand raise if you'd like some introductions. All right, well, Kevin, you want to start? Well, my name's Andrea MacArthur, and I'm in administration, and I get the pleasure of working with absolutely everybody. Kevin?
Good afternoon. My name's Kevin Adamick. I am the Director of Finance.
Brandon Williams, Director of Dining Services.
Luis Puertas, Director of General Services.
I'm Derek Pastor. I'm the Project Manager.
I don't know why any of these guys aren't standing up, but I'm Kennedy Dome. I am the Communications Manager.
I was trying not to make them look bad.
Chivalry is dead in this generation, so I think we need some teachers.
I'm Tim Cummings over Maintenance, Engineering, and Grounds, and I'm almost as tall as Daniel.
I'm Daniel Ivey. I'm the Security Manager.
All right. So we really appreciate your time today. We will have a few updates for all of you, but we really want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your concerns. We want to hear your ideas, and we really want to hear your compliments. So if there's anything that we do good, we want to make sure to continue doing it. So am I standing? Okay, all right. Step away. That's maybe what the lights are for, to stay away from the edge. Okay. So if you have a question, we are going to send Kevin out there. So raise your hand and Kevin will come and bring you a mic so you don't have to yell. Does anyone want to start us off, or? All right.
I'd like to make a comment on our elevator surfaces. Every building I get around to in the community seems to have gotten tile. We still have carpet, and it's looking pretty raggedy. And I just wonder if there was in the plans for some replacement.
Thank you for that. So, to be honest, we were just upgrading the ones in Neighborhood 1 because they same kind of issue. They have gone through different variations, and sometimes we've tried carpet for a while until we end up getting stain issues, and then we end up swapping it out. So I had not heard that the Twin Oaks Square was starting to have the same issues with the carpeting. So we can definitely evaluate that and consider swapping that out if it's starting to get to the point where it's not being maintained or maintainable. So we'll look into that, sir.
I have a curiosity question. You said that the carpet was going to be replaced to the west of the pub, and it's looking really bad. And when is that going to happen?
Thank you. So we actually went back back and forth on that idea, because normally from a resident hallway, you try to keep it carpeted for different reasons, noise and so forth. So we were asked to take kind of one final stab at changing our cleaning program, both within the dining area and also just from a housekeeping common area standpoint. So we're trying a different method, different type of product to keep it clean. But I think what I'm hearing is that even that is still not having the desired effect. So we may have to go back and see if we can get authorization to swap that out again. So we'll put that on the list with our next home office phone call and see if that's something we can push again.
Second here, maybe we can just throw.
Yeah. Catch, go.
I don't catch. I have a compliment and a complaint. Okay, compliment. I used custom interiors and just had some paint. I had the bathroom painted, and I had the baseboards done, and they were amazing. They bring the painters in. I guess they use the same ones from off campus. They were so clean, and I left them in the apartment, and I checked about 2 or 3 times. They said they'd be done by 3. I went back. They were done. It was like I had no one in my apartment ever. It was clean. I didn't have to vacuum. They did a beautiful job.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, but
really, that's what we want to hear.
now here's the complaint.
Okay, you buttered us up.
Okay. Thursday morning, I don't ever know whether I should call or email maintenance with a fixed job because I never hear back from them. So I emailed them. That was Thursday morning around 8. I've not heard from them since, and I thought there was a 2-day or 48-hour. Well, I don't, or is it maybe like other things around here, 2 hours, 2 weeks, 2 months?
Oh, no.
I don't know, but they never call me back, and you never talk to anybody. You call, you have to leave a message, or you have to send an email, and nobody gets back. That's my complaint.
Do you want to talk about the response expectation? And then understand her apartment number?
I would expect to hear back, and if it's not an emergency, I don't expect them to rush out and fix it. Just call me and tell me, well, we'll be there next Thursday, or we'll be there, we're really busy, can you wait till Friday? That's all I want to hear. I want to know that it was received.
Most definitely. I'm over the work order process for maintenance and housekeeping, and our expectation is that if you call or email us, we will get back to you by the same day. So if you call before 4 p.m., we're supposed to get back to you same day. If that's not happening, please escalate to me. The GSEs, right now we have Cynthia in the office, so it's just Cynthia covering both neighborhoods, but we still expect that expectation still holds, and if that's not happening, I definitely want to know so that we can. How do you escalate?
If I don't hear from you by 4 o'clock, if I call you back or if I don't talk to a real person.
Well, that's why I would say escalate to myself, so call me directly.
What's your number?
My number is 9. It's in the directory. It's on my Erickson. Just look for Kennedy Dome Communications Manager. My extension's there, my email's there. Send me an email, give me a call, and I'll get back with you, and I'll get that escalated. We do like for voicemails to be left so that we have a trail and make sure that things get handled in a time-appropriate manner. The GSEs will answer the phone if they get caught up on their voicemails, but we do like to have a record of things. But if you're not getting a call back, please call me directly, and I will make sure that gets escalated and your issue gets handled.
And what's your apartment number?
419.
Okay.
I emailed, that should be too.
So we're going to follow up with you specifically and make sure that you're taken care of. We're writing that down.
Okay.
In the queue lot in front of our patio, the visitor parking places seem to be always filled up with some food service employees and contractors for other things. I've reported it to security or to the front desk at PG, and nothing ever gets done about it. So I'd like to have that addressed. And my second go ahead and address that one, and then I got one for Tim.
So, okay.
Okay, when it comes to parking enforcement, we do encourage that all of our dining staff park in our employee parking lot. So just if we know and we see them, then I will have my security team do a more aggressive enforcement as, you know, depending on our staffing level, but we will do a little bit better job of monitoring the parking lots too.
Well, if you go out there right now, you can find them.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll escalate it within my team as well for the dining piece. For the other pieces you're mentioning, though, that would certainly fall with Daniel. But I'll make sure to send out a reminder to my team tonight to have those conversations. As we have added a lot of new folks, even though that is a standard, we want to make sure that they're not taking shortcuts, and we'll make sure that that gets done right after this meeting. I'll send that email out, and then we'll chase that down. Yes, sir.
Okay. And for Tim, in our master bathroom, the vent that goes out, we've got, you know, you've got the heater and the vent unit above the toilet. Well, I don't know that there's a damper at all in the pipe that takes it out, because I can hear conversations going on outside. I can hear the traffic noise and all that. Do you know if there's a damper in there, and can there one be put in there? And secondly, can a filter be put on the heater and the vent there to keep the dust and stuff from coming into our apartment?
So there should be a damper on, at least on the outside. What's your apartment?
121.
121. So that's good. We can hit it from the ground level, see if it's there, if it's working right, and that should really help with the noise coming in, and also remove any kind of need that you think you should have or would have for a filter, because we don't really want to do that on that side of it with the heater and everything. But we'll get out and take a look and make sure that the exterior damper, the flapper, is in fact there or not stuck open, and I think that will go a long way to solving your issues.
Is there one on the inside of the vent?
There's not dampers on the inside. We rely really on the exterior of the building. We're exhausting out, so we'll just take a look at it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Figure out and loop around and give you an update.
Okay, thank you.
We have a dangerous situation on an elevator on the 4th floor. On the north end, there's about a 1 to 1.5 inch gap of a board that's about 6 or 8 inches wide, and people have been known to trip there and even fall, and it's never been taken care of. The other elevator has the same thing, but there's a kind of a ramp there, so it's not hard. Somebody's going to not only going to fall, but they're really going to hurt themselves. And I think it's been reported repeatedly, but nothing's been done about it.
I'm getting over with Otis this afternoon and get that on their call sheet to come out and address.
Sir, are you talking about coming off the elevator, the difference between the elevator cab and where it transitions, or after you transition that there's something after?
No, I'm talking about the 4th floor is about 1 and 1.5 inches lower than the elevator opening. And they put a board in there under the carpeting, and people don't see it until they trip on it.
Okay, we'll definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
Well, okay. It's something that needs really immediate attention, and I'm surprised it hasn't been done before.
Yeah, what does happen with some of these buildings as they shift and settle, they do end up with some leveling issues, and so in order to address those, we typically have to pull the carpet all the way back, and you have to grade the concrete itself. So you grade it and float it so that it's a more of a ramp. And so we usually try to wait till it gets to a certain point before we go ahead and address those. But we'll take a look right away. If you're saying some folks are already fallen on there, then it's probably a bigger issue now. So we'll take a look.
Hey, Luis, with the pending opening of the new section, has there been any further consideration to the design of the entrance? I've been stacked up at least 3 or 4 times out on Frankfurt Road, and I know you said you were considering it, and is there been any update on that?
Yeah, so we do have a commitment from our development partners as to when they're done with construction, which I know might be a long ways away, not necessarily the entire neighborhood 3, but somewhere in the development plan where they will allow us to use the construction entrance to exit. Not enter, because then you need to staff it and have access control and all that. But that will allow folks to have a secondary place to exit, and of course you can turn right and do wherever you need to go. But if at least, even if a percentage of residents are using that to exit, we feel like that will take some pressure off of the main gate. So we fought hard to get a approval, and they're gonna have to have a fence that actually, opens and closes so that you still have the security, but when you go to exit, it'll open, you can leave, and then it closes behind you.
But isn't the real problem the entrance where you stack up 4 cars?
Yeah.
It backs up to Frankfurt, not losers.
So the question is, isn't the real issue folks entering the property? I would say that it's probably both to some extent, but right now, this will help address the exit, because what happens is the light only stays on so long, right? And so then people are trying to race to make the green light, and that becomes, a speedway trying to exit the property. I don't know from the entrance that we're ever going to have a secondary entrance to the property. That's just, not in the master plan. But what we can do is try to really emphasize as many people as possible to get an auto entry, right? Because it's not just residents can get an auto entry. You can get the friends and family that can get the auto badge. You can, obviously, employees have the auto badge. We get long-term contractors that can get an automatic badge. So where you run into issues is the visitor lane, right? And so if you get the majority of traffic that is here on a regular basis to use the auto entry, then you're going to be able to mitigate some of that in the future. So I don't know that it's ever going to be an ideal situation, but that's currently what's in the plan.
And to piggyback on that, Luis talked about it not being in the program. So, we have, 21, 22 communities all throughout Erickson nationwide. And we have a lot of communities that are twice our size, and they have one entrance, and it works well. I think right now we're feeling it with the construction and everyone having to go in and out the same way, and it's very congested, and we understand that. We can always work with the timing of that light, to help with that, but we have seen it work very successfully at our other neighboring communities that are fully developed with just one entrance. And so we're just going to try and be patient and wait for the construction to be over and hope that we'll start to see that too.
One entrance is not being it's the design of it, the length of it. I agree, probably one entrance is appropriate, but just the length that cars can stack up and get all the traffic.
Yeah, it's not a very long driveway, in that intersection. So we do give our officers some discretion as well if they start seeing safety issues where they will kind of speed up the process a little bit to get that traffic from backing into the street. But like I said, it's not an ideal situation, but we're going to keep trying to problem solve it as we go. So thank you.
I have 2 questions. Question number 1 relates to the topic we've just been talking about. I think some of the issue is the timing of the stoplight. If you are in line and you're number 5 or 6, you don't make it through the light. And at different times of the day, I think the city has the timing of the light set differently. I'm wondering if the city might consider a U-turn about a half a block to the east, and that way the right lane, which is utilized about 10% of the time, could be used, and you could go up, take a right, make a U-turn, and you wouldn't have to wait so long at the light. That's a thought or a suggestion. My next question has to do with the cooperation between the security department and the housekeeping department. I put a lot of miles on walking through the hallway, and I'll see a stain on the carpet that's there for 3, 4, 5 days. I always call, after 2 or 3 days, I always call Peggy or let someone know that there's a soil on the carpet. But we have security going through every floor at least twice a day. And I have a hard time understanding why they don't have a report sheet every shift that they identify things that look out of order. That's a question.
Thank you for that. So, you know, it's something that we always want all of our employees. We covered in new employee orientation that we need everybody to be our eyes and ears. So that is always a kind of a request that we always try to ask our employees to keep an eye out on any issue, whether it's light bulbs or anything else. But, you know, one of the things we're going to be more intentional about is we're actually adding some additional resources to our housekeeping department this year to be able to increase the number of inspections and walkthroughs that they're doing to be more proactive. So, for example, just this in the next week or two, we have a new housekeeping team leader that is starting with us by the name of Maria. And so you have, right now, you have Millie, who's the supervisor, and you have Pastor as one team leader in Magnolia neighborhood, but we don't have a dedicated team leader in Hillcrest neighborhood. So we're going to add Maria to try to be able to focus more on them being proactive and spotting things ahead of time without us residents having to find it and report it. And, you know, we have the structure now where the supervisor and manager are also going to be rounding every so often to be looking for things. So yes, we will continue to educate our staff about reporting issues when they see it, you know, including housekeeping issues, but we're also trying to have something more sustainable where there are specific people that are responsible for looking for that specific issue in the buildings as well. So it'll be kind of a combination.
First and second.
Mine is a concern about the lack of response from General Services. I won't go into it. Luis, I've got something for you. I've sent you 2 emails in January, and the last communication I've had from your department was Brian called me on January 23rd, said he was going to come by the next morning. He was a no-show, and no call afterwards that reschedule or whatever. So this is an issue, obviously, for me, but the bigger issue is it happens so often that staff scheduled to come, they don't show up when they're supposed, or when they said they will, but you never get a call to say we're going to reschedule or why they didn't show up. I know a little more than what's in here, only because I've learned who some of your staff are that might be involved, and I've captured them in the elevator and said, what's going on? But that shouldn't be my job to find out information that way.
And thanks for that feedback. That's important for us to know. We really do strive to be ahead of things so you don't have to contact us in the first place with work orders or phone calls or emails. And then when we do get those, we try earnestly to get back to you and stay in touch, because we know that sometimes even bad news is better than no news, right? So apologize for that. We do strive to get that word out to y'all and work it all. Sorry when we don't quite make that standard. And if we can, Brian's here, we can circle up afterwards and get the particulars and get this one over the finish line. But, you know, thanks for that.
So my expectation across all general services will continue to be for my team to be responding, you know, back to resident requests by the end of the next business day. We're 100% always going to meet that, you know, target, not always. So I do want you to escalate back to me if I've delegated it to someone and you're not getting the response that you expect, then go ahead and bring it back to me. If I'm not responding, you can bring it to Andrea or Matt, and they will hold me accountable as well. So make a long story short, we are doing, you know, we're taking a renewed emphasis this year across my entire team to to make sure that we are responding more effectively. We know it's been an issue. We saw it in the resident survey, satisfaction survey, and we know we need to do better. So on behalf of my team, I apologize that we're not meeting your expectation, but we are going to do everything we can to get there this year. Thank you.
And we know that's not just in general services. We community-wide are facing it. I mean, dining and resident life, myself, we know that's an issue that we need to work on.
A follow-up. With new buildings open, will your department be staffed more? Because it doesn't seem like you can keep up with things now, so what's going to happen with new buildings open?
So, yeah, great question. With additional buildings, are we going to add staff to general services? I would say, since I've been here over the last 5 years, we have added significantly in terms of our FTE counts. I think it's really up to how we structure that, and where not just adding line level staff, but also adding additional mid-level where it's necessary. Like we just talked about adding a housekeeping team leader. Security, we're just got approval to add an assistant manager of security, and we're going to be posting for that. So we feel like there's opportunity at different levels of infrastructure to make sure that we are ready to deal with the growth. We're also adding a facility coordinator in advance of Neighborhood 3 so that we can have that resource available and ready. Looking at, I know for the GS admin team, the Neighborhood 3 does include another GS coordinator, so that we would have 3 GS coordinators in the admin office to, again, deal with the work order volume with returning phone calls and things like that. So there's a lot of script as to how many staff we should have within the Erickson model, because there's a lot of other communities that are already at 3 neighborhoods built out, and so we're taking some guidance from that, but then also we're having discussions every year during budget season around where are the pain points and what can we do to address those pain points. Have another example just this last year where we were getting a lot of concerns around the transportation department and not being able to get through consistently, and we got approval outside of the normal budget to add a transportation coordinator, and so we added that resource to try to address that issue. So yes, there's lots of conversation, lots of opportunities, and I feel like we have gotten the ability to add a lot of resource the last 5 years to try to handle that. Now, staffing and recruitment, that can be a challenge sometimes where we have vacancies that stay open for a while, and that can create periods of time where we're stretched a little bit. But overall, I feel like, working with our HR partners, we've had much better, much lower vacancy rate. And so, hopefully that'll also impact some of that responsiveness. Great question. Thank you.
My question is about the landscaping around the Q parking lot. Once again, in 2019, we started losing holly bushes. We have lost several of them that have not been replaced. Then we had the freeze, and we lost a lot of other shrubs that have not been replaced. Some of them were replaced, and they died in the freeze in 2022. Now we have lost more bushes, and also at the first freeze this year, all of the flowers were taken out around door 41 because they died. They have not been replaced. The Q parking lot has a landscaping problem. We've lost trees, we've lost bushes, we've lost our large hollies. Our large hollies were cut in half because it was determined they were interfering with the air conditioning. So the ones that were missing have not been replaced. We have lost 2 more hollies because shortly after they were cut in half, we had a freeze. And so the shock of being cut in half and then the freeze killed them. Aaron gave a great presentation, and I applaud what Aaron's doing. He is trying to go around the neighborhood to the lesser areas
and he's trying to replace with perennials and shrubs that are appropriate to Texas. But in that listing of projects, the Q parking lot was not included. We still have big gaps that we have been there since 2019, and we have lost many shrubs since then. Are we ever going to get them replaced?
Great question. So, end of last year, we had asked for the shrubs to begin being replaced. So, we were supposed to have identified all the spots where plants and shrubs had died over the years, and not necessarily always change it like for like, but at least put something in that spot. So, I am still committed to do that. I did not realize you're still missing that many shrubs, because we did ask for that stuff to start getting replaced last fall. So Tim and I will follow up with that with Aaron. But yeah, we're committed to replace those empty spots. The only exception I believe we had was, yes, around those one set of condensers where we were going to put some type of aesthetically pleasing privacy wall or something around it, so at least you're not staring at the condensers. So Derek and I, we need to follow back up on that, kind of revive that, make sure that gets done. So we will double down on that area, because we know, we had expectations for those things to start getting replanted as part of the winter storm, so a winter storm damage claim. So I apologize, that has not been done yet, Mrs. Sieber. We'll follow up on that.
My buddy Brandon looks bored and tired here. Somebody needs a dining question.
I'm going to bring Brandon into this. Don't you worry.
Most of these folks will be at the forum tomorrow, right?
I've had a microwave issue, but I called and they came out. I don't remember the name. And of course, by the time they came out, it was working great. He left, but they sent an appliance person that you guys just hired from off campus. He came out, and yes, the microwave's working right now. He left, and now the microwave is blinking on and off. When I open the door, the light's not working. Sometimes it recognizes that the door is closed, sometimes it doesn't. But most of the time it is kind of working on and off. My question is, if my microwave goes out, I don't want to be 2 months or even 2 weeks without a microwave. Do you have a freestanding countertop microwaves that we can use until ours are replaced? Because all the appliances now, they don't make them like that. I mean, I had a microwave that lasted 20 years. I left it in the house. I don't know if it's still working, but they don't. What about refrigerators, ovens, all of that? They're going to start breaking down. We don't want to be forever without our appliances. So what is the answer to microwaves that are?
The answer is getting better. Well, it is. So I'll talk to your specific case in a second. The pandemic really did bring on some enormous supply chain impact, and it's better than it was, but there's still delays and heartburn over many things. We are really getting a lot better, both on the REOC side and on the maintenance side. We're seeing better inflow of the appliances that we need and are ordering. We still don't have the depth that we'd like to have, like on having a loaner fleet, so we can come running up and replace your microwave, because it does sound like at this point it's time to do that. As many times it goes out, even though we may not see it, you're seeing that. So I want to address that. Brian, do you know if we have a microwave we might be able to get to her today?
Today it's working.
It's like going to the doctor. Like you feel great when you're there.
Anyway, so we'll keep working through understanding your needs. We do put out a call every once in a while that if you have an appliance need and you haven't seen any movement or haven't heard from us, to please do let us know, and that always brings up a lot of things that somehow we were not tracking, perhaps. Sorry for that, but we do ask proactively, let us know if you're waiting on something, and I see you're getting ready to put your hand up. So what do you have?
I have the same issue with my microwave, and it finally came up and did something to the door latch. Evidently, there's something with that. And since then, yes, he took I don't know what he did, but he replaced something in the door latch, and since then it's been working yet. I don't know whether it will last that long, and I've always had the flickering as well.
Well, they told me that until it wasn't working, they couldn't.
So part of what we're working on too is as we continue to address and get on top of and get ahead of all of y'all's one-off appliance needs that admittedly has taken some time to work through in some cases just because of things I mentioned before, is that we were more than we were before. We were to extent, but we're doing more so now. When we know we have a need for X number of appliances, we're ordering a little bit more to get ahead of it, and we're also creating a very secure, dedicated place to store those appliances in, so that we're very organized and we know what we have, so that when these needs pop up, my goal is that when you have something that really does fail, we either have at least a good, clean, workable loaner for you, or more so the target is a brand new replacement if that's what you need, and we get it one or 2 day turnaround, we're done. So we're working at that behind the scenes. To that point also, let me talk about just in general, we are continuing to put a lot of effort into where and how we store our supplies, not just appliances, but anything else that we use on y'all's behalf. Same thing, been some supply chain issues. Practices in the past where we order what we needed, not more than we need to get ahead of stuff, especially when we had to wait on things. So we're ordering many more items. We're storing things in a much more organized, orderly way so that our mechanics can find the stuff that they need. They know what building it's used in. We use it, and we were much more responsive to y'all's needs that way. So a lot of work behind the scenes within the maintenance engineering team. We're not there yet, but we're a lot further along, a lot better than we were.
You want to also tell them about the carts?
So, thank you. We also, Brian, recently, we went out and purchased 6 or 7 carts for our maintenance mechanics, and they'll be standardized on what they store. There's locking drawers, there's a little work area on top, there's a place for a ladder, there's a place for light bulbs, so that our goal is that when these guys leave our main shop over in Crestview Terrace, and with a fully loaded cart based on what their work orders for that day show, they come to your buildings and they work off that cart. We'll also put some satellite storerooms as we can in the other buildings so that they are much more productive and not walking back to the main shop a lot each day to get stuff that they don't have. So we are in fact we've already increased the number of work orders that they can do in a day, just because we gave some realistic target times for how much time it takes to do certain tasks, because they were a little unreasonable before. We were giving them too much time, so we came up with what it should be. They're doing more work orders, and we're getting them scheduled and completed quicker than we were before. So the tide is turning.
So, are you staying on maintenance? No. Okay. All right.
Feel left out.
Oh, good.
All right, Brandon.
Into this too, Brandon.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for recognizing Texas Independence Day. Whoop, whoop.
That actually, you know what? That actually came from a resident. Came to me and said, "Hey, we need to be celebrating this." So there we go.
There we go. All right. Good barbecue. All right. The second thing is I am so happy that 8090 is now open for Sunday brunch. It's wonderful. We had brunch there yesterday, and it was really great. And I understand it's giving some relief to Reunion. So I think that was part of the purpose of it. But I want to compliment you on that. And the fact also that, as you know, our initiatives, that if you read the RAC report, our initiative this year is to try to use less of the recyclables in our meals and encouraging people to bring their own containers to take things home in. If you have the good old green box, take it with you and shovel your stuff off into it and take it home. Take your mug to get your coffee. You can't imagine how much money is spent. What was the figure?
Kevin, what's the figure?
Well, it's 50. Well,
a lot.
Yeah, I think the number falls above $50,000.
Yeah, just on cups.
And that's on cups and sleeves and on the complimentary coffee.
Yes.
And so when we think, I'm gonna jump in with you.
Yes.
When we think about complimentary and we think about $55,000 worth of complimentary cups and coffee, we know where the $55,000 comes from, right? It's our residents that pay for those cups as well. So that's what I think Ms. Badgett's getting to. If you want to, we want to utilize more of those dollars in our dining rooms to do more special events.
Have more staff, and some people are starting to put their mugs in their cubbies. Because if they get downstairs and I want a cup of coffee, they can just go to their cubby and get their coffee cup out. So, it's just a thought, and I think we all want to pitch in and save on, because we all know recycle doesn't go anywhere else but the landfill. So we're separating all this stuff and it's going the same place. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go back to the beginning just really quick and talk about Table 8090. A huge undertaking by the leadership in our neighborhood too in dining. We really have seen, I was here yesterday, I saw, maybe it was here on a slow day, but Reunion didn't have that line that we were used to as much on our omelet station, because I was eyeballing those omelets. I had one yesterday. I didn't have one from there, but I had one. And, just a different style of service on Sunday in Table 8090 in comparison to our other restaurants for brunch. And we want to try to continue that potentially into our next restaurant. That way we have a 50-50 split on how you'd like to have brunch. So still working through some things as we always are for the Sunday brunch, but being open on Saturday and Sunday in Table 8090 has truly been a huge help and a huge undertaking by our team. So thank you for that.
Is the pub fully, do they have full entree on Saturday night? Repeat her question.
Yeah, so the question's around the pub and how we look about our full menu. So we have a couple things coming, and then the pub expansion of that menu, we'll look at it as we continue to grow. So what does that mean? What does that mean, right? Like, we'll look at it. What it means is Pecan Stop opens March 13th. Well, that's our next focus. And then I know everybody loves the pub. I like it just as much as those folks do. So that will be the next priority that we have to look at that. So that gives you kind of the timeline on how we move into that. I know, burgers and fish and chips, right? We need more than that.
It's a great place for company to come on Saturday night with the kids, eat the pub. And we used it until a few months ago, we added the but then
Yeah, we had back the hours. Never really had the full menu back in there. We expanded that a while back, but yeah, it's not off the table. I want you to know that. I know I don't want to give you a time frame, because if I do, I really want to make sure that I come through for it. No, I'm 2 months. Is that what you want? No, 2. Luis, write that down. Look at that. Oh. No, yeah, all right. I think I can beat that one. I think I can beat 2 years.
Okay, this is a maintenance question.
Oh,
okay. Last night, in our master bedroom toilet,
put it closer to your mouth.
The water was moving, and Jerry told me that it was the wind outside. I looked at the trees, there's not wind. Am I fixing to have a clog?
No, it's more likely a vent. There's a vent stack on every plumbing riser. You got the water in the drain, but you also have a ventilation stack that goes up through the roof. So it sounds like we might have a little bit of a blockage in there. That's when you see water moving in your fixture like that, it's usually the ventilation, the air ventilation part of your system, plumbing system that's probably obstructed. What's your part? 326, okay.
We have the same problem with Denver on the exhaust. We had water coming in last fall, and I sent you a couple communications, and I never heard anything.
Did we not get up there and take care of that?
You took care of it, but the damper, we don't know if there's a damper, and will it happen again or whatever.
Okay.
326.
All right, thank you.
That's me or you? I think we're still good.
I may have to arm wrestle him to get the microphone. This is addressed to Brandon. Generally speaking, I like the food and the service in our venues, but I think we have a systemic problem, and that's when we get our appetizer and we get our entree. It's almost a problem in all of the venues. The other night it got it so bad that in one venue, by the time I put my spoon in the soup and I had salad waiting, I had my entree there.
Yeah.
And this I think is a systemic problem, and it kind of interferes with the class of the restaurants we have here.
Well, I couldn't agree more about that piece, but also I think it also affects the temperature of your entree, as you prefer to have your soup and salad before you dive into that entree, or if you wait, one or the other is going to cool off. So I want to. Are you talking about?
Hold on a second. I can go to a commercial restaurant, and I can get what I don't understand is why they don't wait to prepare the entree instead of preparing them simultaneously.
Yes, certainly. I was agreeing with your point. I just think there's also other things that could fall in that is another reason we don't want to do that. You're 100% right. What I wanted to say in addition to yours is it can also affect the entree temperatures and the soup temperatures as well, as you have to decide which one you're going to eat and in which order if it comes out too soon. So that's a training opportunity for me and my team. That's an opportunity our staff development manager needs to work with our servers. Also, our kitchen staff, our executive chef needs to work with their staff, because when we look at our restaurants, a lot of the times when this happens, and I'm not speaking directly about your time, but a lot of it happens early in the shift or later in the shift. And we see that because there's not the pressure on the kitchen. Now, during the prime time, which, that 5 to 6 window, you can turn it over pretty much as soon as it comes in, because it's not starting right away because you have orders in front of you. So it is, I don't disagree with you that it certainly is a problem. It's something we need to look into and take seriousness around it. And I think when I look at it, it's a training opportunity, but it's not one singular group. I really do believe it's servers and the kitchen staff. Thank you for bringing that to me, though.
Brandon, my favorite subject, is there any light yet about allowing singles like myself eat at the bar in 80-90? Well, it could be couples too, but it seems to me when I go there, I feel a little guilty, because if I'm alone, they give me a table, there's other people who are waiting, and the bar it's bigger than the kitchen table, that's for sure. Is there any consideration of that?
Yeah, certainly. We continue to look at it because our community continues to grow, and we have to look at it would not only be a convenience or a nice thing for somebody, but also it would expand our restaurant. So we are looking at that. Again, we have a couple things on the plate before we get to that potential. many of our restaurants don't have a full bar. That one does. Across the enterprise, very few are serving food individually at their bars, that style of bar. But I'm not opposed to it. And for folks that do want to dine as a single, I can understand how I can appreciate that you don't want to take up an entire table. And but yeah, it's not off the table. It's something we'll make note of. I would say it's probably down the road a little bit further than in the next couple months. Yep.
Well, first, I want to say I love the food. And I think it's great that we can go sit with tables of 4 so we can socialize. But I can't hear a damn thing in the restaurants.
Yep.
It is so noisy that it's just impossible to converse.
Yep. So,
has anybody mentioned that to you?
Absolutely. I'll pass it over to my partner here, Derek. Derek has a great update surrounding the sound in the restaurants.
I do. Yay, I finally get to talk. So yes, in many of our venues, we've heard that same issue where it's just too loud in there, the noises, things like that. I've recently contracted with a contractor. We're actually have materials on order in, let me make sure I get them all right, Reunion Grill, Lone Star Pub, Table 8090, White Rock Bistro, and the Hillcrest Bistro outside CVS. We're replacing all of those ceiling tiles with a higher quality, higher acoustical capacity to help reduce those sounds. I don't know that that's going to make 100% of the difference. But I have gone through and I've done some preliminary baseline measurements in all of those venues to get a starting point for where those decibel readings are, so that when we make those changes and we implement those new ceiling tiles, we'll be able to reevaluate. And from there, if we need to make additional modifications to the different venues, it depends on what the different venues need. But we do have a plan in place. I'm waiting on the materials. I don't have a lead time on those yet, but I ordered them about a week ago, so I'm just waiting for them to arrive. More to come. I'll be sending out a cubby on those when that happens. We'll be doing that work after hours. None of the dining venues will be affected during services.
I will add to that really quick. That, I mean, we've been having these conversations for probably, a year now. I've had a lot of partnership with our home office folks, and so it's been a partnership, and we're kind of a guinea pig, right? So we're going to be testing this out, and if it works well, I think they're going to be using this kind of what we're doing is around the enterprise at other communities as well.
On this topic, the RAC has discussed this with Matt at our last 2 meetings in the afternoon, and he's given us assurances that they're going to retain an acoustical engineer to address this issue, because ceiling tiles aren't going to work. And if you look at some of the venues, there isn't even a drop-in ceiling to put ceiling tiles up. So we need the support of an acoustical engineer. Most of us are older and we don't hear as well as we used to. And one of the things in the community that you encourage is to have people socialize with one another. But if you can't hear what the heck other people are saying, it makes no difference.
Did he talk about doing measurements before?
Yeah, I think to Mr. Reitiger's point, that's this is kind of a process that we're going through. We're going to be testing things out, and we're going to be working on it. It's been a hot button issue that we've talked about on our CapEx calls, capital expenditures, really for that last year. So it's kind of an ongoing process as well.
This is for Brandon. Really I can really get a good pizza at the Fireside Grill if I hit them when they're not real busy. But recently, when I order a pizza there, I order a round pizza, and what I get delivered to me is pizza on flatbread.
Oh.
What's going on there?
Well, yeah, I think that's certainly addressable. I say I want to look into it, but I'm not aware of that, so let me meet with them. I understand, I know the round pizzas you're talking about. Let me see why the team is utilizing flatbread, and I'll be able to circle back with you on that.
Okay.
But
going to say we probably got time for one or two last questions.
Yeah, one or two more questions.
Okay, since I got the microphone.
Sorry.
On the gate issue, one of the things that slows people coming into the gate down is the residents have a transponder on our windows. A lot of times I come in and we've got somebody out there waving their badge in front of the reader trying to get it to read, and that slows the whole traffic flow down. Can the badge wavers be given a transponder for their windshield?
Yeah, unfortunately, the program, those are more expensive, to put it bluntly. So currently, the program is for employees just to have the badges and use the badge to get in. So no, we do not currently have the transponders in the program to hand out to everyone. That's a special privilege reserved for our residents. So right now, so yes, good question, but that's kind of where we're at.
I would like to address making reservations in the restaurants. Often we call and all we can get is 4:30 or 6:30. You come at 4:30 or 4:45 and you wait until 5 o'clock because the servers are not there. Also, this new system where you call 7 days ahead, I didn't know that many people were getting up in the middle of the night to call in so that by 8 or 9 o'clock, the 5 or 5:15 or 5:30 times are all gone.
Yeah.
Is there a way to address this?
Absolutely. I feel like we have. So on February 17th, we made a change. We made a change to our reservations to make them be available from 9 a.m. to midnight, and it closed from 12 to 9. Well, we found out middle of last week that there were folks still being able to get in there, right? I know folks have looked and gone on at 9 o'clock and seen reservations gone. So we escalated this up, and what we're doing is each morning at 9, before 9, it's closed. Now at 9, it'll open up. Now, the way that it's operating currently, it could open a little past 9 o'clock. But I'd rather it open a little past 9 o'clock as opposed to right at 9 and have all the reservations there for that 7th day, as opposed to folks being able to go in early and gather those throughout the night. So I feel like we've addressed that. As far as the way our students go, it's such an ebb and flow when it comes to their schedules. And we attempt to work with our reservation and availability earlier on, maybe to lessen it a little bit to be able to handle the volume that comes in. But just like the semesters go for our students, we find that some semesters it's Monday and Wednesday that it's a little lighter staff because there's events, or Tuesday and Thursday that's a little lighter staff. So we continue to look in and try to evolve that. Reservations process online should be a lot better. No calling in. Calling in is only from 12 to 2. And we do, just to kind of finish it up here at 2 o'clock, we do have reservations set at 70% for reservations and 30% for those to walk in and dine with us. So there still should be some opportunity there. But I understand what you're saying. I hope I answered what you had asked.
All right, I got one last update before we wrap things up. But some of you may have noticed around the perimeter road, it's getting kind of beat up a little bit. Lots of potholes, cracks, some dips and things. I do have a project that's going to start in mid-March to go back with asphalt patches. I'm actually working on the Cubby stuffer right now to send that out. But we're going to do some patchwork right now until we can get the full perimeter road back open. And at that time, I'll be able to make the actual concrete repairs that are necessary, but we are going to work on getting those potholes and cracks fixed pretty soon for y'all.
There you go.
Thank you, Derek. And thank you to all of you. We were taking notes. Mary Lee was taking great notes. Kennedy was taking notes. So we have captured all of this great feedback. And so we're going to get back to you. That's one of our commitments is trying to be more responsive, trying to be more communicative, trying to add more transparency into our processes so that you know that we are listening and we are acting upon your feedback. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate your thoughts, and we will see you again later. Thanks.